Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about Ballard versus West Seattle, two of my favorite neighborhoods in Seattle. Stay tuned. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Living in Seattle YouTube channel. My name is Francisco Dictado, and I am a licensed real estate broker here in the greater Seattle area. If you're thinking about moving and what it looks like to eat, live, work, and play in Seattle, Washington, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and my crew. That's my information above. We're here all day, all night, and I literally answer questions all the time about what it's like to live in Seattle, Washington. So whatever your questions may be, I'd love to help you out, and shoot me a text, send me an email, call me, send me a letter, whatever it takes. I've got your back when you're thinking about moving to Seattle, Washington. Alright guys, so in this episode we're going to be taking a look at the Ballard neighborhood and also West Seattle. I want to talk about some of the pros and cons, some of the similarities and differences of the two neighborhoods. Definitely top two neighborhoods in my opinion in all of Seattle, Washington. I really want to talk about some of the cool stuff each neighborhood has to offer, and hopefully give you guys an idea of what neighborhood suits you the best. So let's dive right into it. Not really sure where I want to start with all of this, but here it goes. All right, so let's just start off with a few numbers to begin with, to give you guys a little bit of perspective when it comes to the economics and financials of each neighborhood. First off, in Ballard, the average annual income for a household is about $148,000. In West Seattle, that average is about $130,000. And also, the average sales price of a home right now in Ballard is about $900,000. That's about 9% higher than it was last year at this time. And in West Seattle, the average sales price of a home is $795,000. That's up about 13% from last year at this time. So as you can see, especially in the Seattle region, home prices and equity is still rising. So real estate and buying in real estate in Seattle is still a really good bang for your buck. So I highly recommend, if you're thinking about looking to move to Seattle or buying real estate in Seattle, that you get on board now, because I feel like it's only going to get harder and harder as the years go by and as this year goes by, especially if those rates drop and you're on the fence as a buyer. It might be a really good time for you to get your ducks in a row so we can figure out a great plan for you when it comes to buying this year in Seattle, Washington. Okay, so let's talk about a few similarities both of the neighborhoods have. Obviously, in West Seattle, we've got some great water views, views of downtown Seattle and the skyline. Ballard also is surrounded by water and has a huge maritime kind of history. A lot of fishermen, a lot of fishing boats are out of Ballard. Shilshole Bay has a ton of moorage and great parking for sailboats. Seattle was actually, or West Seattle was actually the birthplace of what we now know as Seattle the city. Settlers first came upon the shores of Alki Beach and then moved a year or two later down into Pioneer Square, and that became sort of the hub and central part of Seattle. So there's some really great history in both neighborhoods. The fishing routes go way back for the Ballard neighborhood, and even now to this day, that's celebrated every summer. There's a seafood festival down in Ballard, which is awesome. Obviously great eats, great people watching. So that's a really fun thing to do over there. Both neighborhoods boast a really cool farmers market, although I will say the Ballard farmers market is probably more of a scene and more of a place to go. Definitely tons of other people from different neighborhoods target that farmers market. We as West Seattleites would often get off the island and go down into Ballard just to kind of hang out on a nice summer day. I feel like Ballard is definitely a neighborhood where you could spend a whole day and maybe even night in, just because there's so much to see, so much to do. If we're talking about nightlife, I would probably say Ballard is probably more suited for you. There's just way more bars. There's more pubs in Ballard than there are any other neighborhood. You've got a lot more entertainment options in Ballard, especially in the nighttime. A lot of the median age in Ballard is about 34, and the median age in West Seattle is about 39. So there's definitely a little difference in age brackets. West Seattle is maybe a little bit more laid back and more family oriented. Ballard might be a little bit more hipsterish. So take that for whatever it's worth. I say you definitely gotta come out to both these neighborhoods and get a feel for it, but definitely being on the water gives some uniqueness to both of the neighborhoods. In West Seattle, you can take a water taxi over the water and get to like the Pike Place Market and the waterfront, Seattle waterfront, which takes you about 15 minutes. In Ballard, there's a ton of water activities you can get into as well. Ballard is also probably one of the more walkable neighborhoods in all of Seattle. They've got Northwest Market Street, which runs, I want to say east to west, and that's the main arterial that kind of takes you through downtown Ballard. Lots of things to see and eat over there. I feel like whenever there's a brand new chef in town or a cool new hot restaurant, Ballard is probably where it's stationed or locationed. Just some really fantastic cuisine over there, some really eclectic shops. So that's why I love Ballard. There's a lot of different things that you can get into over there, but also you still have the residential areas. I feel like Ballard is a lot more dense than West Seattle, even though West Seattle is probably a little bit more spread out and bigger of an area than the neighborhood of Ballard is. Ballard is more dense, and when you're talking about like the downtown Ballard area, you're gonna see a lot more townhomes close to that main arterial, which is Northwest Market Street. Just means there's a lot more people walking around and in and around you. So, but Ballard also has a ton of great surrounding neighborhoods like Green Lake, Wallingford, Fremont. So I think being in that area gives you a more choices, right? And you've got more options when you're kind of in that area when it comes to entertainment and dining as well. West Seattle has some great neighborhoods that surround it as well, but they're not as established and not as built out as like a Green Lake or a Greenwood even, or a Fremont that's close to Ballard. Ballard is sort of known for the Ballard Locks, and over there you can see the salmon run. You can see the salmon rushing upstream to find their homes and hatch and lay their eggs. So that's a really cool feature over there. You've also got Golden Gardens in the Ballard area, which is one of the few beaches in Seattle. West Seattle obviously has Alki, which is probably one of the more or most popular beach in Seattle. You get beautiful views of the the downtown Seattle skyline and the beautiful sunset views that come along with it since we're west facing on Alki. Ballard also has Ray's Boathouse, which is a fantastic restaurant right on the water. Alki, West Seattle has Salty's on Alki, which gives you fantastic views of downtown Seattle and the waterfront there. So again, just a few more similarities in the two neighborhoods. West Seattle has the Matador, which is a sort of Tex-Mex restaurant that probably has the best happy hour menu in all of West Seattle. Their nachos are probably the best that I've ever had. Ballard also has that restaurant, and if I'm not mistaken, I think probably the first location of Matador was in Ballard. So there's one similarity there. The food options I think are a lot more vast in Ballard, but same quality. And West Seattle is slowly inching its way into that conversation as one of the places in hot neighborhoods with great restaurants. So in Ballard, we have Northwest Market Street that runs east to west. as the main arterial that takes you through downtown Ballard, so to speak. And in West Seattle, we have California Avenue that takes you north to south, and that runs through the West Seattle Junction in downtown West Seattle. That's also where all the majority of the restaurants and shops are in West Seattle. So two similarities there. You've got some major arterials that take you through these great neighborhoods. Location-wise, these two awesome neighborhoods are about 12 miles apart, and that'll approximately take you about 30 minutes to get to either neighborhood on a good day. Maybe when it's not raining outside, probably take you about 30 minutes to get from West Seattle to Ballard. Ballard is situated a little bit closer and easier access to North Seattle, so you're going to have better access to, say, University of Washington, probably the Magnolia area, Queen Anne, that sort of thing, Capitol Hill. But West Seattle also gives you really easy access to downtown Seattle. I think sometimes it just comes down to price and commute when you're thinking about which neighborhood might work best for you. Again, like I mentioned earlier, it's a little bit more expensive right now to buy a home in Ballard. West Seattle, just a little bit cheaper. The commutes, obviously in 2020 when the West Seattle Bridge was down, getting in and around West Seattle was a bear and it was very difficult. So you've got to be okay with being sort of bridge dependent, living in West Seattle. That kind of is the heartbeat of West Seattle, is that West Seattle Bridge. It just makes everything so much easier and so much more convenient when we're talking about location. Oh, and I almost forgot that West Seattle now has its own Portage Bay set up here. It's a restaurant that's famous for its breakfast and brunch. They have a fantastic waffle and pancake bar that everybody loves. And Ballard's had a Portage Bay for years, and I remember driving over there to get a taste of it and waiting in long lines for that. But just great quality food. Just another example of how West Seattle is sort of keeping up with Ballard in terms of the cuisine and great restaurant options. In my opinion, West Seattle is a smaller scale of what downtown Ballard looks like. In Ballard, like I was saying, there's so much density there right now that we're seeing townhomes kind of pop up in what used to be just single family residential areas. The West Seattle Junction area right now is being transformed from sort of retail spaces to now having hundreds of apartments all along California Avenue. So West Seattle's growing up. I don't know that it'll get as big and as dense as Ballard, but when you come and visit, I think you can really see the similarities in the direction that West Seattle might be headed, especially when you go visit Ballard and see just how eclectic and diverse and all the other things that are going on in that downtown Ballard area. All the things that are happening there now in Ballard, I think West Seattle's probably trending in that direction sometime sooner rather than later. All right guys, so that does it for this video and this episode. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to write us a letter, text, shoot us an email, give me a call, whatever it takes. We've got your back when you're thinking about living in Seattle, Washington. And until the next episode, stay tuned. Sometimes you wanna go.